life is a fantasy draft. None of us are named Shane. I'm John. Welcome. Episode 6, A New Hope.
That was episode 4.
That doesn't matter. The fact checker over there is Daniel Gavertz. Daniel, say hello.
Hey, what's up? You might also know me as Hertz Gavertz or the Canadian Screwjob.
Or as Gigaverts, which you'll soon be known on this podcast as.
Gigavertz. I like that. I'm okay with that.
What?
Yeah, it's electrifying.
And the guy giving out new nicknames to people who didn't know about it, that would be Mr. Greg Dennis.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Got a lot to get to, gentlemen.
They can't answer, Greg. They can't answer. We're recording.
I was talking to you and John.
Oh.
But, you know, I don't want to know what's going on with either of you, so let's just get to the show.
Sounds great. Don't care how you're doing either. We got a lot to get to today. We're going to talk about the NFL.
Probably.
We're going to talk about hockey. I don't know why we're doing that.
Why? I don't.
Because we must. We have to.
Aren't they still locked out?
You guys are smack dab in the middle of it right now.
Damn.
Did you know Jaromir Jagr? I learned today that Jaromir Jagr is still playing hockey.
Still playing at 50.
Accurate.
He was placed on injured reserve, so I don't believe he's playing hockey anymore. But prior to today, he was.
I think it was a hip.
Had to be.
Probably coughed too hard.
Oh, man, that's the worst.
Yeah.
Crack your rib.
I believe we're going to talk about the Knicks at some point. Daniel's going to talk about the Knicks. At some point. Yeah, we don't know when. Yeah. It's just going to happen.
It just happens. It happens organically, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And
every single time.
Probably somewhere in the D block.
Yeah. And shout out to Geeks Unlimited
for possibly picking us up. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like they have to do a lot of work. All they have to do is upload a video.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's true. But you know what? That's some effort that we don't have to do, and that makes it. You know, they say if it's not worth doing, it's probably worth delegating, and so we're very.
And that's what we've done.
Does anybody actually say that? I've never heard that.
Oh, it's kind of an office thing.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I think
you would know if you worked in an office.
Yeah.
I do work in an office.
I think it's in that book.
Gigahertz.
How to win friends and manipulate people.
Yeah. It's how to get someone else to do your job. Part 2.
Yeah.
Middle management.
Speaking of doing their job or not doing their job, woo! Marcus Williams, what were you aiming at?
Oh my God.
I believe the answer is his own player.
Yeah.
Was he worried about the 15-yard defenseless receiver penalty? That's the only explanation I could come up with for that.
It's possible.
And if you don't know what we're talking about, you clearly don't watch football.
You probably don't.
You probably
shouldn't be listening to this podcast.
Yeah.
This is not the kind
wrong
of podcast for you.
You're looking for the announcer's table.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. What an ending to that game, right? Like, that was start to finish, not tremendously entertaining theater, but it got really, really good in the fourth quarter, didn't it?
Yes. I think the only game that I found interesting at all for, like, the duration of the game was Jacksonville-Pittsburgh. The rest of the games were just interesting for the ending.
I agree. Jacksonville-Pittsburgh had at least 20 moments where I texted some variant of wow or WTF.
Yes. I was at the gym for parts of that game, and I fell off the Stairmaster watching. I think it was the Antonio Brown catch.
The Stairmaster?
Yeah.
My goodness. How was your landing in 1988?
I made it back to the present day, so pretty. It hurt.
That game was it was brilliant because it's exactly that was what I wanted. I just wanted Jacksonville to somehow beat the Steelers, but for them to put up 45 was just.
I didn't even know. Is that the highest scoring game of Blake Bortles' career? It must be.
Well, I mean, he only threw for one touchdown pass.
That's true. Yeah, I guess we can't really give Blake Bortles the credit for any of those points.
No, but here's the interesting thing. Offense puts up 45. The defense lets in 42. Like, this is the team that only let the Bills score 3 points last week. So I have no idea. Jacksonville's like, they're just doing it right now. They don't care how they got to get the job done. They're just getting it done.
That defense is going to find a way to drag Blake Bortles into the Super Bowl.
Yeah. And I hope in just dragging down Tom Brady next week is the only way that they could possibly win that game.
Mm-hmm.
The Jags do bear a bit of a stylistic resemblance to the 2007 Giants team that made life pretty miserable for Tom Brady in that Super Bowl.
That's surprising, seeing how Tom Coughlin is the president of football operations over there in Jacksonville currently.
Probably not a coincidence. Also,
did he create a giant slayer?
Whoa, he might have. He might have. I really, if Jacksonville had even a mildly talented quarterback, I don't even think Jacksonville would be the underdog in this game. You know what I mean?
That's a good point.
If you put Case Keenum in Jacksonville, I think Jacksonville's the favorite to win this game.
Yeah.
I don't think they're favored, but I bet it's like 1.5.
Yeah.
It's close. It's a field goal difference between the two going into the game.
If you put Case Keenum, let's say there's a parallel universe where Case Keenum is the quarterback for both Jacksonville and Minnesota. Are the Jags a better team than the Vikings? Because I feel like they would be.
I think so. I think the defense in Jacksonville is a lot better. I think obviously the receivers in Minnesota are a lot better, and maybe that's what's making Case Keenum look like a league average quarterback. But
that's entirely possible.
Is so bad.
Well,
all they need is a league average quarterback, and you're looking at your almost definitive Super Bowl champion.
And we actually might see this game, so this could we could see this, and we could actually find out, and we won't even have to sit here and hypothesize what the game would look like. We would actually know what the outcome of that game would be.
Do you guys think the NFL is at all embarrassed that the final 4 quarterbacks are Case Keenum, Nick Foles, Blake Bortles, and Tom Brady?
I think they're angry. Well, okay, so I have 2 points of view on this. One, that the league is thrilled because they've all but guaranteed the Patriots another Super Bowl championship. Or they're mad as hell because they could have had, I don't know, take your pick, any of Cam Newton, Matt Ryan, Drew Brees. God, I mean,
that's enough.
Yeah,
that's really where that list ends.
Ben Roethlisberger.
And you're talking about a league where Aaron Rodgers couldn't make the playoffs. I mean, come on, this is not right. They need the BCS to just be deciding things.
See, we
play the season out and then just tell us who the best teams are.
It's interesting because there's the old cliche is, it's a quarterback driven league, and not necessarily bearing out in the Final Four. And I think it's really interesting that you talk about, where's Aaron Rodgers, and where's
he was on injured reserve.
He was on injured reserve.
He's rooming next to Clay Matthews right now.
Exactly. And then you go further down that list of
he's dating Danica Patrick.
Is that true?
That is a true story.
I didn't know that.
He dates her.
Okay.
Yeah.
This year, there's no Andrew Luck, obviously.
That was so weird. That's still weird.
Russell Wilson was playing on. I think what we had was a year in which great quarterbacks were playing on bad teams, and great teams had bad quarterbacks, or quarterbacks that were really great and then got injured. Carson Wentz.
I think the NFL is very angry about this situation for a couple of reasons, and you hinted towards one, John, when you said that there's really good quarterbacks playing on bad teams. And I think that's a really important concept now, especially with two things happening. Number one, and I've alluded to it before, I think the salary cap puts this all in perspective because there's no soft cap. It's a hard cap. You have to spend your money, and that's it. There's no going over that. And I think what happens is so you got teams that are saying to themselves, it's a quarterback-driven league, so I'm going to give my quarterback $22, $23 million a year. Mm-hmm. Well, that's a lot of money that could be going to, I don't know, a running back or a wide receiver, especially a running back. In some cases, Le'Veon Bell, LaShawn McCoy, they get 30% plus of the offensive touches, and these guys aren't making as much as maybe they should be. And I think this is a great little this is a kick in the right direction for running backs, I think, to get more money than they have been getting. And at the same time, I think it's also a situation where the NFL needs to go and look at the salary cap situation and maybe put in specific caps for player positions. Okay, so say this is the quarterback cap. This just like the NBA has with max dollars for players, for veteran players versus young players. But at some point, they have to address this quarterback issue in the NFL because it's causing turmoil among all these teams, and it's making for a poor product at the same time.
It is the product. The product is worse across the board, and you're right. It's probably because you have a quarterback taking up 30% of the salary cap, and you have 21 other positions to fill and reserves.
You could also argue like if you look at Case Keenum, right? Like he wasn't supposed to be.
I'd really rather not.
Right.
I'd really rather.
No,
not.
I wouldn't either. He's not a terribly attractive man.
Not the handsomest of fellows.
Case Keenum wasn't supposed to start, right? Case Keenum was supposed to be Sam Bradford and Teddy Bridgewater's backup, but he was thrust into a starting role, so he wasn't paid a whole lot. Nick Foles wasn't supposed to start. Nick Foles was Carson Wentz's backup, who was playing out of his mind, and that's how Philly got the 1 seed. Blake Bortles really wasn't supposed to start even in the first week of the year. Remember, they benched him for Chad Henne, which...
Chad Henne, another guy on the long list of guys who are somehow better than Colin Kaepernick.
Right. So what we had was Jacksonville had a free agent feeding frenzy. They splurged on all these high-ticket players, and it paid off. And so these are 3 teams that weren't really paying their quarterbacks. Wentz is on a rookie contract. Bradford's not being paid a ton. And so you've got 3 teams that were just like, all right, if we could get our quarterback, we could totally win this thing. And they ended up stumbling into it.
Do you think that it has a little to do with the evolution of the NFL sort of moving away from the quarterback being the most important guy on the field? I know he's going to touch the ball on every play, but these offenses are designed now to remove any ability really for the quarterback to ruin the game for you, right? Like Blake Bortles is winning games because he's throwing, I don't know, what did he throw for, 90 yards? He's not doing anything. So he can't lose you the game no matter how bad he is.
Oh, I think that's the case for specific teams. I think that's the case specifically for Jacksonville. But then you go somewhere like Pittsburgh or Green Bay or even with the Giants, who don't have a running game, and the quarterback has no choice but to let it rip. And I think those are great juxtaposition. What do you got? The Giants. Well, the Giants can show you exactly what happens if you let it rip with poor receivers this season and no running game. And then on the other hand, Jacksonville is showing you what you can do with a good running game, quarterback who can keep you in the game, and a defense who's lights out.
Yeah,
and it's all about finding those pieces, and that's why I think the salary cap is the thing that has to keep being revisited, because if you're putting all of your dollars into one player, there's 10 other guys on that side of the ball. You could look to Buffalo, and now Jacksonville's obviously picking up the rest of that contract for Darius. It's a huge contract. It's massive, $10 million a year. It's huge for a defensive player. On the other side, you're talking about Matthew Stafford, who makes $24 million a year with his new contract, $24 million a year.
I believe he's the highest paid player in the league.
He is. And where's his running game? They have a running back by committee who is just okay, and they're just okay because that's a situation where the pass sets up the run, and normally you want to have your run set up your pass. So it's all these intricate parts in all these different teams. There isn't one right answer per se, but I think the team has to find that right answer for themselves because they're so restrained in what they can do and put into a team.
I wonder if it's a situation where, like, Jacksonville and Minnesota and Philly are playing, like, some bizarre version of Moneyball, where they realize there's a market inefficiency when it comes to paying players on the defensive side of the ball that can go out and win you a game, and then they draft these quarterbacks or sign bargain bin quarterbacks. And so what they have is, like, this team that's really good across the board, which if you've got 21 really great players – and another team has one otherworldly player, but what's up, Seattle? Anyway,
I think Kian Fahey over at ESPN, he does a lot of work just breaking down the quarterback tape, and even when Carson Wentz was playing out of his mind and playing really well, he consistently made the point that Carson Wentz wasn't making the best reads and the best throws. It's just he had an offensive line that was better than everyone else's.
Yeah, totally.
And he had more time
that running game.
And he had
that running game is ridiculous. Well, yeah. And decent receivers too.
Yeah.
That's a team where all the pieces clicked on offense, and they look like they've obviously they've clicked on defense. They don't even look like they have clicked on defense. But I think John brought up a good point. Wentz is playing on a rookie contract right now.
Yeah,
it's not it's not necessarily the position you want to rotate guys in every 5 years essentially, because you have the 4 year plus the 1 year add-on that most of these contracts have. But I think that could be said for a lot of positions on the field where it's like, okay, let's keep a rotating door of cornerbacks.
I think
free safeties.
This year could be the first year where we see teams not extending their quarterbacks. Like Andy Dalton. I don't know if he's gotten an extension yet. Ryan Tannehill was out this year. I don't know if he's going to get an extension. Like guys like that, they don't deserve. Andy Dalton doesn't deserve the Matt Stafford extension. He doesn't. He's not that good. But teams have.
I don't even think Matt Stafford. Matthew Stafford
Matthew Stafford absolutely didn't deserve the Matthew Stafford extension, and neither did Joe Flacco.
Oh, God.
These guys are getting these massive extensions just because that's the way it's always been. And I think this year or next year we're going to start to see the decline of that, which is going to be very interesting. I think of it as sort of like the Alex Smith effect, where teams are looking at the Chiefs and they're like, hey, we can do that. I know the Chiefs lost in the first round of the playoffs, but like
they always do. That's nothing new.
We can get to the playoffs and we can look really good if we put 4 great skill position guys around a league average quarterback. So, and why are we paying $27 million a year for a league average quarterback?
So perhaps this is the year that the hypothetical or literal quarterback bubble burst.
Yeah, I'm hoping for it. I think so. I want to see a redistribution of the wealth. I think Greg's idea of individual player salary caps is a great idea.
That's essentially what the franchise tag is. Like if you get
but you can only tag one player.
Right, but like I think if you were to adopt that kind of model where there's an acceptable range, like a franchise tag, you get like somewhere between the average of the
top 5 players at that position.
Yeah. So like there's your max contract, right? That you could offer somebody.
That's still too much. Right now, that's still too much.
Absolutely. That's way too much. But like
Kirk Cousins is going to get like $27 million next year on the franchise tag.
Right. I don't think
they're not tagging him.
I don't think you'd see people
getting tagged next year.
I don't think if you got rid of the franchise tag and you moved to a model of like max contracts, I think you would see a very different NFL.
You'd see an NBA style NFL though.
Yeah. I think that's what we need. I think the NBA is coming strong and coming fast on the NFL, and the NFL needs to change something to maintain its position as the top sport in America.
Yes. And you do it by having juggernauts in each conference. That's why the NBA is exciting to watch. You've got Golden State out in the West, and look what Golden State has caused though in the Western Conference. Spurs, Rockets. Excuse me, I just burped.
We are professionals here at Shane's Life.
That was very professional. But you've caused other teams to now that have to step up. This is exciting to watch a Western Conference game. In the East, it's starting to happen now. So you had Cleveland. Now you have Boston starting to come up. Toronto looks good. And Philly, at some point in the next decade, I would assume, is going to look decent.
Hey, they're the 9 seed right now.
Yeah,
well, that's right. But I think you're creating these conglomerate teams that are very exciting to watch, and the NFL struggles in that because you do have the one in the Patriots, but no one's made an AFC. Like you could make the argument, say, oh, well, the Steelers are an AFC, an AFC rivalry of the Patriots, but I don't necessarily buy it because they play each other maybe once a year.
Right.
In NBA, you play everybody every year, so it's got a different flavor to it.
The issue is, and the reason why this is harder to do in the NFL than it would be in any other, than it is in basketball, the guys, with the exception of Tom Brady, because I don't know what the hell's going on with Tom Brady, but people's careers in the NFL are so short. The average NFL player plays 1.5 seasons, and that's it. So you're talking about guys who you're not going to be able to do what the NBA is doing.
No, the NBA is doing what the NBA is doing with this arms race where you're creating these super teams and a bunch of also-rans is not all that dissimilar from the Premier League in soccer in Great Britain, where you've got 6 super teams and a bunch of also-rans. And that's kind of what we're seeing in the NBA, which is what's making for really great theater if you're a fan of the league in general, but not really great theater if you're a fan of one particular team.
Unless your team is that team that's at the top.
Right.
In which situation it's a great sport to watch. Because, my team's always doing great. And I think right now in the West, what they've done with all of these rival teams, essentially, to Golden State, is you're opening up your market. Because maybe you don't want to be a bandwagon fan that roots for the number one team. I don't want to go there with Golden State. But I like what Popovich does down there. So let me, I'm gonna, maybe I'll be a Spurs fan. Maybe I'll jump the ship a little bit from whatever team I was. But there's enough good teams that you actually want to watch the game. In the NFL, I don't think there's enough good teams. In that whole one team fandom model is leaving. It's gone. It's fleeting. Also, I think it only exists in Cleveland and Buffalo right now.
Also, the NFL, I think, really missed an opportunity with the popularity of the Red Zone channel. When they added Thursday night games and then Saturday night games, you're taking games away. For a couple of years there, that 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock time slot on the Red Zone channel, that was literally like doing drugs. You would sit there, no commercials, no punts, no injuries, for 4 hours, just watching, big plays and guys score. And that was so much fun. And there were 13 games on at the same time. And you're watching 6 games at once. And it was crazy. But then they take a game away for the night game. They take a game away for Thursday night. They take a game away for Saturday. Sometimes there's 2 Monday night games. And now all of a sudden there's only 3 games on at 1 o'clock. And it's what are we doing? And late in the season, none of those games matter anymore.
Well, it's hard to sell commercial ad space on a television channel that doesn't have commercials.
That's true.
That's true.
I don't know. I mean,
there's ways. They're
doing it during the NFL broadcasts now. They heard us all complaining about kick commercial or score commercial, kick commercial. so they're just doing that split screen half commercial. You could do that on the Red Zone channel.
Oh, you could totally do that on the Red Zone.
Right?
I think the other thing.
Right,
I think the other thing that the NFL needs to do too, and I think basketball is working on this problem, but still doesn't have an answer to it. Is that you can find NBA games on a variety of channels.
Mm-hmm.
You can find, you go to TNT, you go to ESPN, you go to ABC. Or
your regional sports channel.
Yeah. So where the NFL is, if you have a product and your intention with this product is to get it to as many people as possible, which is exactly what it should be with sports. Just get it out there because I'm going to make my money in jersey sales and on advertising and all this. I got to get my product out there. But the NFL spends so much time targeting, like Verizon. I'm going to have an NFL mobile app that you can watch every football game from anywhere you want to, but I'm only giving it to people with Verizon phones, right? I'm going to have this NFL channel. I'm only going to give it to people with DirecTV, though. And it doesn't make your product accessible. And the NBA does a slightly better job, even though these are all mostly cable channels that you can find them on. But they're doing a better job at getting it out there. They don't make it just one little thing that only, a select few people can have. And I would love to see network television expand on sporting events in general because I like sports. But I don't think the market's there yet for them, but that's their job. They need to figure out how to do that.
That's the hubris that Mark Cuban was talking about a few years ago. He said that the NFL was really just going way too big. And that's the hubris of the NFL saying, well, we will get people to switch to Verizon just because they want our product.
And in the age of cord cutting, that's become a problem. People expect things to be on demand, a la carte, and where they are. Like they don't want to have to do any extra work to receive something.
Except with Spirit Airlines, because the a la carte works everywhere except in the 35,000 feet.
Oh yeah, no question.
It does not work up there.
The first league that gets rid of regional blackouts for their streaming services, that's gonna be the winners. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like I don't know.
I agree.
I live in Buffalo, New York, and somehow that puts me in the local market for the New York Knicks. So I'm never gonna sign up for NBA League Pass. Because I can't watch Knicks games because somehow I'm in their local market. So the first league that gets rid of those stupid rules, which I don't know, I don't know if that's an FCC regulation, but it shouldn't be.
I think it's interesting that you bring that up because that's always what held me back from getting NBA and like NHL channels because they're actually reasonably priced. So it's not a bad investment. Where the NFL, I think now you can get the NFL Sunday ticket on its own, but it's like $68 a month or something ridiculous like that. Whereas basketball, I think, is $29, and hockey's right around there too. But with a sport like hockey, for example, I love hockey. I can watch any hockey game. I don't care who's playing. But like the NFL, I want to watch the Bills. My first priority is to watch a Bills game.
Right.
Whereas a hockey game, obviously, my first priority is to watch a Sabres game, but I'll pretty much watch anything. So I don't mind spending the $30 a month because I'm going to get all of that from there. With the NFL Sunday ticket, if I have to spend $70 to get the product and I can't get the product I want. I can't get those Bills games. I mean, I can now where I am now, but I'm saying like Daniel, for example, you live in Buffalo. You can't get that product. It's the one thing you want. Yeah. And you can't get it. And that's not, if you have a business and you're trying to get your product to as many people as possible, that sounds like a really bad idea, especially a local market.
I have an idea. This conversation gave me an idea, and I apologize if it's going to go off script or off track.
We're way off script
anyways. What are you doing right now, John? Jesus Christ.
What if there was...
Geeks Unlimited's going to can us. Right after the first one.
They just
like Geeks Limited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think all three of us were racing to make the same joke. What if baseball had, instead of a red zone style channel called Strike Zone, and they just you played all the games, right?
They just show strikes.
And they show all the runs from all the games, and they switch to whatever game had runners in scoring position.
I think that would be a great idea.
Tell me you wouldn't watch that.
One. But that's a hard one. That's a hard one because there's a lot of games, yes. However, it's not like it works so well with football because theoretically everyone's playing on Sunday or Monday night. But most of the games are on Sunday. With baseball, you get a lot of games on. You have certain teams are off on certain days. You have 1 o'clock games. You have 7 o'clock games. You have 10 o'clock games. So it's one of those. That's a great idea, but they would have to really regulate when teams start playing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You'd have to say, okay, the week is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday games for in league play, and then interleague play. Those are weekend onlys or something like that. You would have to really adjust the gaming schedule, but it's a great idea.
You would have to have 10 teams or 5 games start at 1 o'clock, 5 games start at 7 o'clock, 5 games start at 10 o'clock every day.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of like the NCAA tournament, the first couple rounds.
Yes. Oh god.
Oh, now that I love that. I get the iPad going. I get the computer going. I got everything going at one time.
The first two rounds of that tournament are the greatest 4 days in sports.
By so far, far and away.
This is the reason why this is the reason for the one and done rule is exactly what you just said. Feed that machine.
Mm-hmm. I want more kids to be playing in Lithuania though. I hope the Balls get more people playing in Lithuania instead of at Kentucky.
Ball Brothers go scoreless in their last game.
Did they really? Oh god.
Scoreless, nothing. Speaking of basketball, Daniel, 30 seconds with Knicks. Go.
The Knicks dropped. They had a 19-point lead yesterday that they blew. Lost
against
the Pelicans in overtime. Today they played against the Brooklyn Nets. They did not have a very good game, but it looks as though they won, but they didn't have they didn't look great. It looks as though the Knicks are kind of giving up on the season, and they are now in 10th in the Eastern Conference and free falling. They're not. They need Tim Hardaway Jr. back to help their transition offense, but Tim Hardaway Jr. is terrible defender. And I guess that was my horn.
That was your horn.
That's your horn. That's your
horn. That was a weak 30 seconds. I'm sorry.
That was one of your weakest performances.
Sorry about that.
I'm not gonna lie.
I'll be more prepared next time.
Hey,
anyways, let's get back to our original focus, back in the NFL.
Sure.
Where we're comfy. We talked about it real briefly at the Open, but we got to talk about this. The Vikings blew it, and then the Saints blew it harder. There's no way around this. This is the concept of the game. This was not two teams out-duking each other. This was one team blew it, and then the next team just happened to blow it more.
I have never seen a game before where I felt like, okay, they just won the game 4 times in the last 3 minutes. I've never seen that before, where there were 4 lead changes, and I thought, okay, now I'm pretty sure who's going to win. And they just kept on going at it and going up and down the field. And I was like, will anybody play defense? Both your teams have great defenses.
Yeah, what happens in the last 4 minutes of either half? What happens to defenses? I'm sorry, it's more than just a hurry. It's more than just the hurry up.
I think it's kind of what we talked about last week, right? Where McVay, the coach of the Rams, was having Goff come to the line with 25 seconds left, so that the coaches upstairs can read the play for him. I think that's what's happening in these 2-minute drills, right? Because you rush up to the line, there's 35 seconds on the clock. You have the offensive coordinator upstairs. He's calling out the defense to the quarterback. The quarterback is relaying the reads. So I think that's what's happening, and just nobody's talking about it.
I think there's something. Yeah, there's definitely something going on that we don't know behind the scenes, because as I watch these games and I watch teams, we talk about all the time, the 2-minute offense, so they got to score before halftime, and they do. They get a field goal or they get 7 points. Do teams just not care that much about scoring until like it's crunch time and it's like, okay, we actually have to put points up now, so now let's focus on scoring?
I don't think I've ever seen a league in which more teams operated more successful 2-minute drills than this year.
Yeah, I agree.
Never seen. I remember back in like the 90s or like the late 80s, where like if you actually succeeded in a 2-minute drill offense, like you were special. Like
you played on the 49ers or you played on the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Or you played on the Bills. Like, these were the only teams that scored at that time.
Like, Matthew Stafford is, like, third all-time in fourth-quarter comebacks.
That's a ridiculous stat. Is that anywhere near true?
I don't know if that... I have no idea if that's true. I have no idea if that's
true. The show without stats.
But, like...
Well, I'm on it, you guys.
It feels... He had 8 last year.
But let's talk about this. Marcus Williams.
Matt Stafford is 4th overall.
That's crazy.
Who's number 3?
Hold on. For some reason, Google gave me ranks 1, 4, and 8.
Who's 1?
1 is Tony Romo. 2 is Matt Ryan. 3 is
there
Tom
you go.
Brady.
These are all.
Wait, all time?
4 is according to TicketCity.com, which is not the most reputable.
That's as a percentage.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
but yeah, that kind of like helps support the point.
As a percentage of games played, yeah.
Yeah, like almost all of these Wait, are these just these are just quarterbacks who are like active?
Yeah, actually, it does.
Tony Romo's no longer active. He's active in the booth.
I got football. I got Football Reference. Open.
Yeah. There we go. Peyton Manning's
reputable. Okay, Matt Stafford is 14th.
Okay.
But he's only been playing for 9 years.
Yeah.
Matt Ryan, 13th.
Vinny Testaverde at 12. I don't think fourth quarter comeback is a meaningful statistic.
No, I don't either, because you could be down 7 and win by 1, like at any point. Like if you're down in the 4th and then you come back and win. Like
Eli Manning is 8th.
But look at all these quarterbacks on that list who like are active.
Yeah.
Like the NFL has been, I mean, it says since 1960, but like the NFL has been, that's 57 years. And you mean to tell me that like the best fourth quarter, the most clutch quarterbacks ever are all playing right now?
Yeah, you're not wrong. It's
I think it's a product of the time. It's a different time than it was. You know, you can't go back to the 70s and be like, I think those quarterbacks, I think Terry Bradshaw was kind of like, a Ben Roethlisberger. No, it's impossible. Ben Roethlisberger throws for like 400 yards a game. Terry Bradshaw was lucky if he could throw for 2.
I think the super interesting thing about like, how we're all like, oh, offense is crazy now. Offenses. It's scoring's not up. Scoring's been pretty consistent for like the last 35 years.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think especially in the last 4 or 5 years, we've seen a switch to these like phone booth offenses where everything's happening within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage and you're hoping someone misses a tackle. You know what I mean? It's all these short out routes, these curls, these whatevers, the pick play that the Patriots run.
Watch the wheel route.
The
wheel route, the running backs that coming out of the backfield, like everything's within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage, and it doesn't matter how great you are as a quarterback. Anyone can make those throws.
Well, Blake Bortles was struggling against the Bills. He was
not
struggling.
Everyone, not Blake Bortles. Any league average quarterback.
So what we're saying is the Saints blew it harder.
Seriously.
They did.
Also,
that was just...
I wasn't paying nearly enough attention. After that touchdown, the guy just blew the extra point, right? Or they fell on the ball or something?
No, this is interesting. They kneeled, which ruined a lot of gamblers.
Yeah, that was where I was going with that.
It was a 5.5 point spread.
Yeah. Which is, I can't even imagine the range of feelings that a gambler must have gone through, because you just assume the extra point.
Right.
So all those gamblers who bet the Vikings there to beat the spread, they were celebrating on that touchdown, and then they kneeled on the ball. Oh my God.
Also, Stephon Diggs flagged for taking his helmet off in the end zone.
Absolutely, but totally worth it. Are you kidding me? Also, I'll derail the show here, and maybe we can link this up with another topic that we wanted to talk about. Why is it a penalty to take your helmet off on the field? That's just
the way. That's just a rule that's been written, and I guess the concept behind it is that it's a team sport. So how dare you take your helmet off and show the individual?
Give me a break. You know who's in the end zone? Black people. Black people score the touchdowns, so we don't want them to take off their helmets. We don't want to see them. That's nuts. That is disgusting. And I think, they wrote that rule in the early 90s, mid-90s, because Emmitt Smith would always score a touchdown and take his helmet off because he wanted people to see his face, because he wanted, the chance to do commercials. Because you can't do a commercial if no one ever sees your face.
That's true. That's why O.J. Simpson had so many.
Because people saw his face?
Yeah.
People saw his face.
Yeah, people saw his face, because that rule wasn't in there. And also he did movies.
He did commercials. Hertz, that was his big first one.
Yeah, I remember those commercials.
Come on now.
I'm just saying, so that's a ridiculous rule. That needs to be the next rule they get rid of. I know they fixed...
It does. It has to go.
They rolled back the celebration penalties. Maybe you flag him because he threw his helmet 30 yards across the field, but he should be able to take his helmet off if he wants to.
I think about it this way, the celebration rollback rule, made a superstar out of Pittsburgh's number 3 receiver.
Yes.
When he chained his bike up.
Yeah.
Greatest thing ever.
Just there are the fact that they rolled the rule back, which by the way, along with the extra point, just the best rule change in the past.
Agreed.
Decade in the NFL.
I think Juju Smith-Schuster had his bike stolen just so he could do that.
Oh no, that is breaking news here on Shane's Life as a Fantasy Draft. Greg is breaking the news that Juju Smith-Schuster faked having his bike stolen.
Yes, it was a fake bike stealing.
So you're saying it was a Schwinn-side job?
Oh, I like it. I like that one.
Oh no.
Anyways, let's finish up. Let's finish up with this with football. The Eagles escaped the Falcons, and yes, I say escaped because that was a slim. They just snuck out.
Well, yeah, Nick Foles is their quarterback.
That was a tight game, but not a good game.
No, that game was awful. I was trying to watch, and I could not bring myself to pay attention as the Eagles didn't score touchdowns ever.
That was hard. The Titans scored a touchdown in garbage time.
Next.
That's it. This is all the stories I have. This is how we do it.
Next topic.
Yeah.
Garbage time in that Patriots Titans game started with about 14 minutes and 30 seconds left in the first quarter.
This is true. This is true. The whole second half. Steelers error in judgment. The Jags might actually be a good team.
We talked about that.
Jags are a great team.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of time on that. The Jags are a great team with an awful quarterback.
This is the most we've ever talked about Jacksonville. Frankly, this is probably the most airtime Jacksonville's ever gotten on anything ever.
First of all, we give Jacksonville sports a hell of a lot of airtime here. Just if you kind of go back and look at there is a theme with the frequency in which we talk about Jacksonville sports. So
yeah, definitely. If you're interested in minor league baseball in Jacksonville, be sure to check out our archives.
Yes. This podcast is just loaded with Jacksonville references. So
never been hotter.
You're welcome, Jacksonville.
Shout out Duval.
This is where we should have a read. This is where we should have an ad read.
Shane's Life is a Fantasy Cast. Brought to you by...
That's a teaser. Teaser. We need to have a read. You know what we should do? We should do reads for things that, like, matter in life. We should do, like, a read for, like, human decency.
Oh, how about,
just do a
how
read
about
for
a PSA? How about, here we go, with a PSA to CNN. Can you stop cursing on CNN, please?
Oh, my God.
I get it. The president cursed. I'm sure he's the first president in the history of the United States to use a curse word. I'm sure he is, right? So let's start cursing on CNN.
They were like 12-year-old children who, like, were given a one-day pass to a strip club.
Right? I mean, it's unbelievable.
Oh, you mean I can see me some live titties? Sorry, 12-year-olds don't talk like that. Oh, you mean I can see me some live titties? Oh, damn.
Will YouTube still monetize us?
I have no
for that.
I don't know. We'll find out. Not like we were going to make any money anyway.
The guy, and like people are up in arms because he cursed, and like, okay, yeah, he said something really, really negative and even derogatory towards other countries just with the adjective there.
Yeah.
However, the next part was far more racist than anything he could have described or any category he could have put these countries in. Because the next words out of his mouth was, why can't we get more immigrants from Norway? Like, why didn't he say, why can't we get more immigrants from Iceland?
Please, let
love more Icelanders here.
Do you think people from the country with the highest ranking on the Human Development Index with an egalitarian socialist safety net is going to be like, hey, you know what? America sounds like a hot place to go right now. Let's check it out.
I mean, how angry would you be if you moved here from Norway and you're like, what? I have to have medical insurance?
There's guns here.
That is.
There's guns here.
Your crime rate is what?
What's this thing on my front door? It does what? It locks? Why would I need that? Oh, God.
Do you think they have locks?
Horrified to move here.
I don't think they have locks on doors in Norway.
I bet they do, but I bet it's just like a doorknob lock. It's not a deadbolt or a chain.
I remember...
It's like the one you could pick with a coat hanger.
It was Bowling for Columbine, I think, where Michael Moore just started walking into people's houses in Toronto. He was like... Because he said, in Canada, the per capita gun ownership is significantly higher, or at least it was in, the early 90s or late 90s or whatever. In Canada, the per capita gun ownership is so much higher than America. Surely, if you just randomly walk into people's houses, you're liable to get shot. And then they just showed clips of him just randomly walking into people's houses, and he didn't get shot, which is that was a tragedy. Yeah,
that's unfortunate. That's the most unfortunate thing about the whole movie. No, I'm mind blown by the things that come out of his mouth. And the things that people kind of focus in on.
Yeah.
Like they focused in on like this descriptor of these countries, which, don't get me wrong, that's not the greatest way to describe another country ever.
No.
However, to single out only countries where the majority of people are black, and then to couple it with, we need more people from Norway.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Like, he should have said, why can't we have more people from Spain? At least people would be like, okay, I see what he did there. Very white still. Very white still, but a little diversity. I get where he's coming from. No, he goes with Norway.
Yeah.
Do you want to guess how many murders there were in Norway last year?
3.
Yeah, I was gonna.
But they were all justified.
Yeah, justifiable homicide.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking like 5 or 6. Yeah.
29.
29.
No,
I feel it's probably a lot more suicide in Norway. That's going to be my guess.
To be fair, that's 29 murders in a country of bad radio. 5.3 million.
Okay, so that would be good. Like if there were 29 murders in the borough of Brooklyn.
Yes.
Right.
Which would be the greatest year in the history of the borough of Brooklyn.
Yeah.
I don't know. If you get enough Soul Cycle people in Brooklyn, I don't know. Just might happen.
Oh, my God. Well, what gets me, and we can move on. Like, we don't have to keep talking about this, but what pisses me off about all of my friends, and I think present company is excluded, people are sensationalizing and just going way over the top, exaggerating things that Donald Trump says. And it's like, we don't need to sensationalize what he says. He's digging the hole deep enough himself.
Yeah. He's done a nice job sensationalizing it all for us.
But when you exaggerate and make worse the things that he says and does, you're forcing people, reasonable people, to say, well, no, he didn't actually say X.
Right,
and it sounds like you're kind of justifying Donald Trump there, which he doesn't deserve. And
that's coming out right now. So there's been a handful of people from the meeting that have come out and said, no, he actually didn't say that word specifically. And what that's doing is just shredding the credibility of people that are saying the. And it's to the point now where it's like he's actually going to start winning these battles.
Exactly. He's on the winning side just because he didn't say that word.
Right.
And whether he did or did not, just because he can credibly say that he didn't say that word.
Now, the sentiment about having more immigrants from Norway, that one was true. That one was actually said, but we all seem to be glossing over it. Like, whatever. He's more angry about the countries where these people live. I'm more worried about the countries where he's trying to pull people in from, because that, to me, is a lot more telling about his preference, about his race preference. And who comes into this country.
It just feels like we're just moving the Overton window of discourse like way, way, way outside the realm of the norm. But that goes without saying.
It's like America 1862 right now.
Yeah.
This would be a good place for a read again. Read.
A PSA. See, that's what happens when you start with.
Wait a second. We just
did the read. We just did the read. CNN, please stop cursing on air. Brought to you by Toyota.
The read has a sponsor.
This should be a read. This should be a read. Brought to you by
The Read.
Oh,
the best 30 seconds of Shane's life as a fantasy draft.
I think that read went a bit over, though.
That read was 3 minutes long.
They bought a lot of airtime.
Wasn't actually a read at all.
Yeah.
No, it's just a PSA. I just want them to stop cursing on CNN.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I feel like that's a sentence that I should never have had to say.
Also, I'd like you to get your opinion out of my news too, people.
Yeah, well, that's a whole other thing.
I'll do that myself. So I got to watch the news on the BBC now.
Oh, see, I watched the Spectrum News Network, which is completely bland and opinionless and actually very nice.
That's true, but it repeats every 30 minutes, right?
Well, I don't want to watch more than 30 minutes worth of news.
It's enough news.
Yeah, it's enough. Sometimes I want to hear how the global economy is doing, and also whether or not they found that cute dog that was missing from the suburbs. Sometimes both within the same B block.
All right, lastly tonight, before we get out of here, I want to talk about, and I know you guys don't like it, and I don't care that you don't like it, because I think it's very important to Canadians.
Wait. We just talked about preferring countries of people, and you're going to throw us under the bus for not liking Canadians.
Why isn't hockey more popular than it is? Oh, that is such a good question.
I have thoughts. So
that's why I'm posing the question.
It's a compound problem. Okay, it has the problems of the other three sports all rolled into one. in that it's on all the time, like baseball, and basketball, right? They're wearing helmets, so
we don't know what any of them look like.
You don't really get. I mean, name a hockey superstar. It's kind of hard.
Sidney Crosby.
Okay, name another.
Patrick Kane.
Yeah, don't even know.
What?
Gross.
Did you just curse on our air? But Jaromir Jagr's 50 years old. The only reason we knew who he was because he had the longest mullet in league history, not named Barry Melrose.
Also, he used to play in a time when you didn't wear helmets, so you didn't have to wear helmets. So,
and I think there's
Henrik Lundqvist.
Okay, strong. I think there's a problem.
I would make the argument for Jack Eichel, but nobody outside of Buffalo knows who he is.
No, nobody knows who he is. NBC had to do like a 30-minute piece on him just so we could like understand who he was and that he was in fact a real person and not an imaginary robot.
That sounds like a made-up name.
Yeah, I think also there's a relatability problem in the NHL insofar as like NHL, at least in the communities in places like Texas and California, like I'll just address the elephant in the room. It's a lot of white people. And in a polycultural country such as the United States, there's not a great appetite for a lot of people of color in, I'll use my community as an example, Austin, Texas, to watch a bunch of white people from Pittsburgh and Philadelphia play an afternoon game on Saturday when they could be watching LeBron versus Steph, and that's that. So I don't know.
Well, then how come if that's if that's the case, how come hockey doesn't get the popularity that NASCAR gets? I mean, besides being on all the time, I know that NASCAR is once a week for like 30 weeks or something. Besides that, NASCAR would have all those same problems, right? You only see the guys at the end of the race, right? And during the actual race, they're wearing helmets, they're in a car. You never see them. And, and racing is incredibly boring.
I think
these people, they're selling out these stadiums and people love it. And they're also all white.
I think NASCAR is college football for people during college football's off season.
Okay.
It's just their thing that they root for. It's just you've got your driver, and the drivers talk a lot. You don't hear hockey players talk a lot. You hear drivers talk.
They need to. That was one of those things. I think I don't remember. The NASCAR channel or whatever did this, where like you can go to each driver's channel, and like you can watch the race like from their helmet or whatever, and that's really cool. And
yeah,
I think more sports need to do something like that.
And I think also like more people have fantasized about driving a car really fast than putting on a pair of skates. Like there's a certain level of aspirate. Like racing is one of those things where like I want to drive really fast. It's an easy get. It's like, oh, I want to see who's the fastest today. Whereas hockey is this incredibly nuanced, complex sport that involves a lot of skills that a lot of people, frankly, don't have the desire to learn or understand.
I guess.
But let me put this in perspective for you, though. Because back in the 80s and the 90s, everybody knew who Wayne Gretzky was.
Correct.
Everybody knew no matter what, no matter who you were, you always know the superstar in the sport, right? You always know the Joe Montana. You always know the Russell Wilson, the Tom Brady, the Odell Beckham Jr.
The Aaron
Wayne
Judge.
Gretzky was well known.
He was
in his heyday, and since then there has not been another hockey player that has been that well received or that much celebrated. And granted, he was the greatest that has ever done it.
Yeah.
That's kind of the point.
A mile.
Yeah.
A mile. And no one will ever be that good.
Wayne Gretzky was better at hockey than any other athlete was relative to their peers, other than maybe Serena Williams, ever in the history of anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he still holds the points lead by like 1,000 points.
Gordie Howe spent 26 seasons in the NFL setting the points record, and it took Gretzky 9 seasons to break it.
That's pretty impressive that Gordie Howe did it in the NFL.
Sorry, the NHL.
That is impressive.
That's really sad. Yeah, it was a record that he spent 26 years as a career. Gordie Howe played until he was like 50. And Wayne Gretzky, in his prime, broke that record. I mean, he was Jerry Rice on steroids when it came to breaking records. Just things you can't even fathom anyone ever touching ever again.
But I think that might be a big problem about why people don't know who hockey players is. But I think overall the trend of popularity of hockey is just not. It's not gaining notoriety. I think it's very stable. It's staying exactly where it has been for the past probably 20, 30 years. And to me, it's a great game to watch. I mean, it's packed with action.
It is. But to John's point, and your point as well, there's no great player right now. Like I'm looking at the NHL all-time points leaders, and it goes as you might expect: Gretzky, Jagr, Messier, Gordie Howe, Ron Francis, Michael Dion, Steve Yzerman, Mario Lemieux, Joe Sakic. I'm going down this list. There's no active players. Like I think is Joe Thornton still playing?
Ooh, is he? Is he bold? Is he bold on that list?
He's bold on the list. That's why I stopped.
I think he's still playing. I think he's still on the Sharks.
Joe Thornton is 17th on the list. Joe Thornton is 17th on the list, and then that's it. There's no other guy who's Jerome McGinley's on the list. Like, there's not many guys anywhere close to being on this list that are active. That's crazy. It's like they stopped playing hockey in the 90s.
I agree, and that's why I'm saying, and that's my point, is that the 90s were a great era for the NHL.
I would
and
I need to stop you there. It was.
Are you gonna talk about the 70s?
No. I was gonna say pre-1994 lockout, because after that they came back. The New Jersey Devils invented the neutral zone trap, and scoring just plummeted.
It's true.
Anyway, continue.
Yeah. That's true. You tried that 2-line pass for a while too. That was garbage. Worst, one of the worst calls. I'm so glad they got rid of that.
Why would we want to encourage exciting plays?
Why do we want more people scoring in this game? Why do we want to take away the one thing people actually enjoy from the sport?
So the first 2 years after the 2004 lockout, or 2005, scoring went up because they were like, oh, we can do 2-line pass. That's cool. Yeah. And they eliminated the like a stick holding rule of some kind, or some sort of clutch and grabbing rule. And they
made the offensive zones bigger.
Right. Scoring went up a ton, and then within 3 years it was back to baseline. Like, defenses were just like, if we just like keep people like guarding the blue line and force everybody to play dump and chase, then we could make scoring go back to normal. And so that's exactly what they did. And so the game is aesthetically still kind of the same as it's been since, for the last 23 years.
So basically, I think our conclusion to this is hockey kind of sucks, and there aren't any good hockey players.
I don't think hockey sucks, but I don't think there's good hockey players right now, and I do think that is an issue. Yeah, I think that keeps people drawn into hockey, and I think it keeps those really passionate fans talking about hockey, and that makes that gets other people excited. Oh, I'm gonna check it out, see what's going on. But I think, go ahead.
I mean, just in terms of my point that there aren't any good hockey players. Like, I'm just going down this list. I'm focused on this now. Alexander Ovechkin and Sidney Crosby are 63rd and 64th. Are they going to break the top 50? I mean, yes, they'll probably break the top 50. They'll probably both score another 100 points in their careers. But, like, they're not going to break the top 25. You're not going to be able to talk about them as the best scorers of all time. They're never going to get
definitely
there.
not. He's missed a lot of games.
Yeah.
Missed a ton of games.
They're not going to get to Johnny Bukic at 1,369 points. He's 25th on the list.
Wow.
By the way, Johnny Bukic was born in 1935, and he remains 25th on the list.
Still playing hockey.
Find another sport.
Craziest part.
Find another sport where someone born in the 1930s is in the top 25 of a counting stat.
So what we're saying is like, yeah,
baseball.
Nobody's setting records. Maybe we need records to be set to be intrigued by a sport.
Yeah.
I agree. I think it's a big reason why the NBA is on the rise right now.
Yeah, because these guys are destroying records and making the game look so much better. Like, you go back and watch, a classic Lakers-Celtics finals of the 1980s. You watch that and you're saying, man, none of these guys is as good as anyone playing right now.
You could actually
you put Andre Iguodala on the court with these guys and he'll smoke all of them.
I was just going to say, I bet Andre Iguodala could beat Larry Bird one-on-one. I was going to use that exact player.
Pre-Larry Bird's injuries, too. Like, in Larry Bird's prime, Andre Iguodala is probably better.
I think he smokes him. James Worthy. I think Andre Iguodala beats James Worthy one-on-one.
James Worthy.
Hassan Whiteside would embarrass Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
My God, it wouldn't be close.
And like these are not all-stars. So, but on the other hand, like if you put prime Wayne Gretzky on any team in the NHL, he's the best player in the league.
So I think what we've concluded is hockey, the sport is great, but the execution of it is not great.
Yeah, nobody's playing hockey. It's kind of like why isn't America ever any good at soccer? Like no one's just the best athletes aren't doing it.
Yeah, we don't want to play some other country's sport.
we can move on to that category another time, but yeah, I think that's where it is.
Well, let's get out of here on predictions.
Oh yeah,
for Sunday.
Oh, okay.
Here's what I want from you. I want you to tell me who's winning.
Charlie.
Who's going to the Super Bowl? And who's winning the Super Bowl?
Wait! Shouldn't we do a who's winning the Super Bowl in the next episode?
No. I want to see how much it changes after Sunday.
Should have done this in week 1. Let's go Bucks. I think Jacksonville beats New England, and I do. I think Jacksonville beats New England. I think it's a low-scoring game. I think it's ugly. And then I think Minnesota beats Philadelphia. Another close game. That'll be a close, tight, entertaining game. And then I think Minnesota wins the Super Bowl. I think they bring it home.
So, I'm of two minds here, right? I don't like, as a New York sports fan living in Buffalo, like I have so many reasons to dislike New England. I just don't want to reward the NFL for these terrible quarterbacks. I want Tom Brady to smoke Jacksonville, and I think he will. And I want Tom Brady to then smoke either Minnesota or Philadelphia. I'd love to see Philadelphia lose to the Patriots again in the Super Bowl. So I think the Eagles are better than the Vikings. So I think the Eagles will beat the Vikings, and then the Patriots will beat the Eagles in the Super Bowl. Because Tom Brady is a really good quarterback, and I want teams to have better quarterbacks, and I don't want the market inefficiency to be, hey, let's all just throw 4-yard outs.
Which is exactly what Brady does. So that's perfect.
That is true.
He does a lot more than that. He goes downfield.
I think I think the Pats beat Jacksonville, but I think it's close. I think it's real close. I think it's a Gostowski field goal that ultimately tells the tale there. I think the Vikings beat the Eagles by a touchdown. It's a more complete team. I know they're playing in Philly, but I just think the Vikings are just much more of a complete team than the Eagles are right now because of the Carson Wentz situation.
By the way, I'm spotting the Eagles 10 points because they're playing at home. Like, that home field is legit because that is a slick field. That is outdoors. That's a hard field. Like, Minnesota will have problems on it.
It would be a really cool story for Minnesota to win because that's where the Super Bowl is this year, and that's never happened before.
Which is why I think it will.
Play a home game for the Super Bowl. That would be really cool.
That would be really cool.
But I think ultimately the Super Bowl ends in a Patriots victory.
Well, I mean, ultimately, the other three quarterbacks still in the hunt are Blake Bortles, Case Keenum, and Nick Foles. Like, this can't be.
They've been doing it all year.
Look, this is a good thing for Le'Veon Bell. Just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. He's going to get paid.
Is going to cash in.
Yeah.
A lot of running backs are getting fat paid after this year, guaranteed.
Not Shady McCoy though. The Bills don't pay anybody.
No. He's making good Skrilla right now.
He makes good money. He makes good money for a running back. Yeah, he definitely makes good. He should make more, but he makes good money.
I want to say he's the highest paid running back.
Stop it, is he? I'm on
it. I think so.
I'll get it for you before the end of the show.
Who's our fact checker? Get your facts straight. Well, that's a good episode.
Yeah.
Devontae Freeman is the highest paid running back in the NFL right now.
Oh, but he just got that contract.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Yep.
Where's Shady?
I wasn't looking at a list.
Shady's probably Shady's where? It's probably $12 million a year.
How old is this?
That's gonna be my guess for Shady. I'm not 100% sure.
Shady, how old is this list? This says Shady's making $8 million, but I don't see a date on this article.
Wowza.
Oh no, this is published January 10th of this year.
There you go. Wow. Well,
so,
okay. So
Shady's. Oh yeah. Okay. So Shady's number 2. Le'Veon Bell technically was, but he was on the franchise tag. But yeah, Shady's 2. So 8.3 and then 8. Leonard Fournette, by the way, still the 4th highest paid running back.
And he's on a rookie contract.
He's on a rookie contract. It's because he went number 4 overall.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So he's getting quarterback money. Rookie quarterback money.
Rookie QB money.
He's getting rookie quarterback money. It was the top 5, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
there we go. I mean, if this isn't what you wanted out of your sports show, running back contracts, points leaders in all-time NHL, then I don't know what you're looking for.
I mean, I think we gained fan tonight.
Absolutely.
That's true. My cat was listening the entire time.
I like that. I think being on YouTube with Geeks Unlimited is going to help us out.
Well, it certainly couldn't hurt.
You just link us right to the announcer's table.
Absolutely.
All right.
All the plugs.
Let's get out of here.
All right.
We're gonna have John Gorman play us out.
Good night, everybody.
Peace.
Stay well.
I'll see you next week.
Wasting hours by the light of the moon. Won't you come home from your funeral soon? Set the bar too high, I'm ducking below. If we fail in silence, no one will know. Don't you know that this is all that I wish I'd never be? I'll say your love is the highest let down. Your love is the highest let down. Your love naive. You're the devil who's been following me. Cloak and dagger at a casual affair. I'm out of wine and I am leaving you there. Don't you know that this is all that I wish I'd never be? I'll say your love is the highest let down. Your love is the highest let down. Your love is the highest let down. Oh, and I'm still breathing underground. Your love is the highest let down. Pick the funk until you die. Raise your glass up to the sky. Toast to what will never be. It's not you that makes me me. Yeah, your love is the highest let down. Your love is the highest let down. Your love is the highest let down. Oh, and I'm still breathing underground.